good morning or afternoon, wherever you may be tuning in from. My name is Justin DeVore, and today's webinar, we'll be doing something a little different. Usually we kind of focus on Autodesk products, but today we're going to kind of compare Autodesk Recap Pro versus Leica's Register 360. Kind of a couple things on a reason why we're kind of doing this. Come February 1st, Recap Pro for mobile, which works with the Leica BOK 360 unit, that is being discontinued by Autodesk. So I felt like now is a perfect time to talk about the differences and maybe kind of get ahead of the game become February 1st. So we have some options to go through. All right. A little bit about me. As I mentioned earlier, my name is Justin DeVore, and I'm a senior reality capture specialist here with ATG. I'm based out of our Phoenix office. We have offices all across the country. And I've been in civil engineering really ever since college, which was, let's see, I got out of there in 2001. So yeah, I've kind of been in and out, mostly in throughout that time. I did some surveying for a little while, and about 3 to 4 years ago, I got my drone pilot license. I also teach a drone pilot class. So if you or anybody else in your organization is looking to get drone services off the ground, feel free to reach out. We can set up a 2-day drone class to get that rolling. And I've also kind of changed a little bit during this COVID, decided to get rid of the little hair I had left and just grow out the beard. So that's kind of what I look like now. All right, as I mentioned, we're going to be comparing Register 360 versus Recap Pro. Kind of some things we'll be covering today, just kind of an overview. We'll be doing point cloud registration within both programs, and we'll be doing some overview with tools in both. And we'll kind of go through a lot of the differences, but honestly, there's a lot of similarities in here. So if you are worried, if you are one of those ones worried about the February 1st Recap Pro for mobile going away, we'll notice that you're not going to have to change too much. So that'll be kind of neat to see. And then also cover some tips on point cloud organization, etc. All right, so let's kind of dive into it. I did want to take the first couple minutes here to discuss Recap Pro for mobile going away. Okay, so this is a big deal. I don't want to sugarcoat that in any way. A lot of people out there, personally, I know several customers and clients that use this feature exclusively with their BOK 360 devices. So there's some concern out there. So I feel like this is a good and perfect opportunity for me to be able to share a little bit of what I know and keep everyone informed. So let's go ahead and switch over. I want you to take a look at this. You see up top here, I'm talking about the Autodesk Knowledge Network and also a LinkedIn article I wrote back in August. So I'll go and drag that over here. All right, let's take a quick look at the Autodesk Knowledge Network. So yes, as of February 1st, it doesn't matter whether you have subscription, perpetual license, just bought the BOK 360 unit. Recap Pro for mobile will no longer show up on the App Store for your iPads. And also when you go run it on either previous installs or anything like that, that is going away. So there's more details to be able to read about that, just kind of some Q&A. And then also Leica is partnered with Autodesk. So they're to help with the transition, they're providing a discount if you want to get into Cyclone Field 360. Okay, and then also I wrote a quick article about this back in on August 17th, but just kind of going through that Autodesk Knowledge Network and kind of what it means for you, why are they doing it, what is Field 360, those kinds of things. So when you get a minute, go ahead and check out this article. Okay. Yeah, and then like I mentioned, as of February 1st, doesn't matter if you have a one-off license, subscription, perpetual, all those functionalities will be turned off. Okay. I know it does sound very doomsday-like, and kind of what else can they throw at us here in 2020? But personally, I'm more of a glass is half full kind of guy anyway. But honestly, I feel like once we kind of get through this, you'll realize this isn't really as bad as it sounds. And ultimately, it's going to be a better solution for us in the long run. So a couple things that jumped out to me when I've been going through the testing and reading through the documentation and running through some of the other Leica apps. Number one is that to me, it's important that Autodesk is recognizing the amount of patch updates that would be needed over the long haul of this. So when Leica makes a change to their hardware and updates their hardware and software, Autodesk or Recap Pro for mobile, in a sense, is always a step behind. They're always going to be playing catch up. So the fact that Autodesk is encouraging us to be closer to the source, and that their partnership with Leica is now stronger than it ever has been. Kind of their stance is why reinvent the wheel or try to duplicate something that Leica's already does and already has provided for us. Okay. Number two is that we have access to a little more functionality on the BLK 360 scanner. If we're using, say, like the Leica Cyclone Field app, instead of Recap Pro for mobile. One I have listed here at the bottom, that Field 360 allows you to use the onboard infrared camera for thermal analysis, which wasn't available on Recap Pro for mobile. And then also, so again, that's really cool, especially being, and then also another thing is the ability to do both 2D and 3D views of your scans while you're out in the field. So being able to see the on-field registration. Recap Pro for mobile had more of a 2D outlook to be able to view that, and it wasn't until you downloaded that back on your work computer or back at the office where you could see that in a full 3D. Whereas with Field 360, you'll be able to see that full 360, and it allows you to do more on-site registration changes and get things up to date while you're there on site. So, and I have a quick video here to kind of showcase. I took a little video with my phone here of the tablet. So what we're looking at here is Leica Field 360. And you can see I'm looking at my registration here in 3D. So I kind of notice here in the bottom left, you see that there's a scan that's tilted and off, right? If we just had the top-down version or top-down view of this, we might not have seen that, and that might show up. So here I found that it was scan setup 29. I just turned that on and off to find it. So now I'm going back to the 2D mode to go find scan 29. Okay. That one's set up 23, there's 28, and right next to it is 29. So those lines connecting, so each of those dots are scan locations. And then here I'm selecting the link between 28 and 29. One is in orange, the other is in blue. So I hit optimize on the screen here. It's not really changing anything. So here I can go up and switch views. So here we can see it had some crazy tilt on there. So here I'm just kind of making a manual adjustment to be able to get that close, and then hit optimize and you see it snapped into place. Now here you can review and look at your registration out in the field, and that fixed itself. So again, we're saving more time by being able to do this out in the field versus kind of questioning ourselves back in the office. Okay. All right, so now I want to kind of switch over to kind of more of a live demo here. what we're going to be doing is we're going to jump back and forth a little bit between Autodesk Recap Pro as well as Cyclone Register 360. Both of these would be your registration software that sits on your computer back at the office or wherever you're currently calling an office these days. I will go ahead and show some point cloud registration in both softwares, as well as some of the tools available. Okay, so let's go and minimize this PowerPoint. And let's go and start with Recap. Okay, so here's Recap Pro. I have a project open here already. So basically, I've removed some of my registration, and we're going to go and put those back together. So I have my project open. I could have it auto register scans, let the computer do all the thinking, or I can skip registration for now. But here I'm going to go ahead and hit resume registration. Okay. So this is going to prepare here on the left. So here's all the stack of everything that's currently registered together in this house. And then I have a couple, these two scans here in group 2, as well as 2 unregistered items here. So here's scan 18 that we're looking at. Looks like it's a bedroom. Okay. So we'll go ahead and I know that scan 14 is the bedroom, but we can hover over that here. So here's scan 14. We can go and select to move to that location or go here in the list. Okay. And one thing I did want to point out, so I don't know if you guys have run into this this was all scanned with the BOK 360 and with Recap Pro for mobile, but every once in a while you'll get these dark image spots. That's really just the data being transferred to the iPad and it losing its connection or kind of breaking there a little bit. I've had this happen more often when the scanner, it kind of moves from a cold environment to a warm or from warm to cold, not being able to adjust there. But the nice thing is if you're using Cyclone Field 360, you won't ever see this, okay? Okay, so here we'll go to registration. So we can see here, we got the bedroom. I can kind of see couch, looks like they got the clock on there. And then I'm gonna pick basically 3 points to be able to register this. I wanna tie 18 to 14 where it should be. So Recap likes flat spaces. It basically analyzes the points and objects and photos around that. So I don't like to pick rounded spaces or anything like that, but something like this is going to be really good. We'll go and pick above this little outlet here. And then it's basically just kind of matching the same. So green to green, and then we'll kind of pick this opposite wall over here, maybe in between the photos here for blue. Okay. And then maybe up in the corner for red, and we'll see what happens. Okay. All right, so down here, we already had kind of green target, but basically the closer you get to green, the better your registration is, okay? Kind of like a archery practice or something like that. Okay, so now here we got a little preview if we hover over this. Again, very similar to what we saw in the previous video. Orange is the new scan, blue is all the existing. So I see that the scan thinks it's here. One thing I do look at here is how close and how well the oranges and blues overlap each other. So this is good here. So I'm going to say merge scan. Okay. And what that's going to do is basically write in the background in its support file of where this is tied again to scan 14. So it's basically kind of a whole path, you know, all the way back to your first scan or home scan. Okay, so we'll go and let that refine. And depending on the settings you have in your project with the scanning device, whether you're doing low, medium, or high settings, also computer factors in as well. So this is merged into the list here. So now we have 19 left to go. Looks like it already kind of found it, okay? So we can go ahead and look at this, or we can go ahead and do the 3-point selection like we did before. But looking at this, I feel pretty confident. Yes, this is doorway scan. Now that I look at it, that's where it's showing it wants to pop up. So I'm gonna hit merge scan. Okay, so this is gonna spin through, and then we have 2 more to do here in the bathroom. Okay, we see it starting to fill in over here. I don't see any questions yet, but again, if you have any questions, feel free. Okay. Okay, so here we got the next group of scans here. We got 20 and 21 in the bathroom. Okay. And it looks like it found it already. Okay. We see we have a little bit of doubling over here, but I wouldn't worry about that too much. And that's going to be pretty common, especially with mirrors. So basically when the laser bounces off this mirror, it's going to bounce off the mirror and hit the wall again. So that's why we see a lot of, especially in bathrooms, you're going to see like kind of a double or a mirror effect of that. That can't get cleaned up while you're registering. That will be cleaned up when you've going through the point cloud and things like that. And I'll kind of showcase that here in a little bit. So we'll go and merge that scan into our group. So it's just, again, it's writing to its support file. Basically, it's linked from 20 to 19, and then 19 back to 18, and 18 back to 14, and all the way back to 0. Okay. And those 2 scans were grouped together. So that's why we don't have to do 21 in there, but we have everything registered. So that blank hole that we had is now gone. So we'll go and index the scans and go ahead and launch the project and take a look. Okay, there we go. All right, so here was that area we were dealing with, right? We see the bed, and notice we got kind of a void here. When we take a look at this view in the photo mode, oh, there it goes. Yep, sometimes recap crashes on there. So I'll go and relaunch that and we'll continue. Okay, while that's firing up, we'll go and take a look at Cyclone Register 360. Okay, so basically we're going to be doing the same thing. Okay, so recap over here. Let's go and open that up. Yeah, actually, we'll just continue with recap for now. Okay, so we have that void, and that's because basically line of sight, when we kind of line this up, that's what it was captured. So if we needed that detail, what I would do is move the scanner over this location so that I can grab the floor there. Okay, but would we be able to create, basically get the full dimensions of this room without it? That's kind of up to the user and who you're working with. Okay, save time in the field. Okay, so all these are stacked in here. We can take a look at the scans over here. We can take a look at the first scan. Okay. And let's go to the real view. Okay, so this goes into the images. With the BOK 360, I always like to take it off of the tripod and put it on a level surface. So here I put it on a coffee table here. Okay, that just helps overall. That's just kind of a little trick to be able to make sure that we don't have any tilt carried out throughout the place that we're scanning. So we have scan 1 there, and everything's kind of related to each other there. And I'll go and reset my limit box. And let's go through a handful of tools here in recap. Okay, so first and foremost over here, we have the stack. And this has your regions, your view states, and scan locations. Okay. If we go down here, we can do selection sets. So we can do a window, and that'll highlight that group of points. I can move them to a region, I can delete them, or I can clip them. I'm just going to clear those for now. We could also do a fence where you can select multiple. Okay, so in that crossing, it grabbed all those. Okay. And then over here in the stack, we see that we got all those scans registered together. Okay. And over here, we got view states. This is pretty cool to be able to showcase. So over here in view states, let's go ahead and do this as a view state. So we'll go and hit enter, and then let's go and rotate this around to a different view, to a new view state. And then here, let's go and slice the roof off. So I'm gonna go ahead and edit this view box. Okay, let's go and trim that down, hit confirm. And then let's go and take a look at it like that and do a new view state. Okay. What's great about these view states is I can just go back here and double click and it sets it right back to that view. You know, I don't have to reset my limit box, anything like that. So I can go back to 3 and, you know, you can name these appropriately, things like that. Another neat feature here is you can do a video. So this is a good way to showcase your point cloud. We see every couple of seconds it rotates between all the view states. We can also download that video. You can change the pause time. You can have it looping, 2 formats, MP4, AVI, as well as all the way up to 4K resolution. Okay, and you can save those out. It saves as MP4 AVI, and those are kind of neat little things to be able to host on a website or whatever the case may be to kind of showcase some of the projects you have. Okay, so that's some of the things in the stack. We'll kind of get to a little more later. Over here, if we wanted to go back into our registration and or view the report, here again is that list I was talking about. So we see how much overlap we have, balance, and number of points grabbed. Okay, so we're shooting for greens. In some of these cases, I would go back and dive in to find out why we have such poor overlap in 21. I won't do that here in this webinar. That could be a topic for a different day. But here's basically where you can identify scans and figure out the reason why. Sometimes it might be pretty self-evident, especially if we're in a doorway scan, for example. I would expect anything less than 50%, right? Because it's half of it scanning in one room, half of it scanning in the other. So I'm not expecting any kind of overlap of 80% or anything like that, for example. Okay. Also here in settings, we can change the units if you want centimeters, meters, feet, and inches. All this is just kind of a view setting. It doesn't change the scale of your project. All it is just letting you do that there. We can pull measurements across, and then those can stay, and you see that they rotate based on your view there. Okay. And over here, we got some display. We can do elevation based. So if we need to kind of figure out or hone in on some heights of this area. Intensity mode, that just basically like how intense the point cloud is. Nominal, we'll switch back to our RGB. Also, those mirror ball sizes, we can see we can raise the size of those, shrink those down, or just simply turn them off. Okay, and then same thing, like notice how we're looking up, and I got kind of some slant on this wall here and some real big slant over here. You know, this isn't a crooked house, but this is just a perspective view. So if I turn that off, notice that everything straightens out. Okay, we clearly see the gap in between the walls. We can easily measure the distance of the walls and things like that to be able to get that in there. Okay, so that's the perspective view. Then there's also some grid and view cube, that kind of stuff. Okay, I do want to be conscientious of time and kind of get through everything. So those are just some of the tools here in recap. You know, pretty powerful stuff to be able to do all that, to be able to see everything. So let's go ahead and switch over to the brother, sister, however you want to determine it. This is Leica Cyclone Register 360. It basically does the exact same thing. It's a point cloud tool, okay? It's meant for us to register our point clouds together. So here I have a couple things kind of split up on a different site, and we'll take a look at these. So I can go here and view in the cloud to be able to see the images. This happens to be kind of a dark tunnel that I was scanning on site, and we'll go ahead and register those together. So I know that this is going to link to this. So as you see, I start dragging it by and it immediately starts to want to try to find links, or I can just leave it off to the side, hold down the control, click another one, and then down here I got some options. I can delete the setups. I can try to have the computer think for itself. I can match targets if I was using targets out there. I see a question here, sort of unrelated to what you've been showing, but do you have a preferred way to share web-based 3D walkthroughs from Point Cloud from BLK 360? Yeah, excellent question. So yes, you know, Matterport is excellent out there. They're a fantastic way to be able to view point cloud information. I know there's a lot changing to BIM 360. I don't know if you've been utilizing BIM 360. Here, we'll kind of detour a little bit. So let me just showcase something. So BIM 360, we've been able to host drawings and Revit models, right? So we'll go and take a look at a finished Revit model. But the thing BIM 360 has been lacking has been the point cloud storage, okay? From what I heard, there's some big new changes to BIM 360 that's going to include a lot more Civil 3D integration as well as point cloud storage. But again, hopefully it's going to be very interactive like this, you know, where we can see a full Revit model, do slices, be able to download the RVT file. And then these are all, you know, objects that we can select and get the information on. So as far as hosting, I heard there's big things coming with BIM 360. Also, Leica has a, there's a Jetstream viewer. So basically you could upload your point cloud to a Jetstream enterprise server, basically something where you'd have that, and then you'd have the Jetstream connector to be able to view those on there. So all you have to do is point to that server, and then you'd be able to share that with customers and things like that. But yes, there's a lot of ways to be able to do that, and maybe something, if you want to reach out to me, we can kind of discuss on another side. So, appreciate that. All right, so let's go back here. Let's go some registration. So here I'm going to go. Yeah, no problem. Okay, so here we'll do a visual alignment. Again, very similar. So we see, you know, blues and oranges. That didn't change at all. So here I can just kind of line them up 2D wise. Up here, I got the move command selected. Okay, I'm just going to kind of load. And then over here, I'm going to switch to rotate. Okay, and then I'm rotating about that point. So I'm just getting it close. Okay, and then I'm going to switch to side view here. So we're looking at the top. When I get it lined up 2D, I always like to switch to the side. We see here we're a little low. So actually you can see this was a tunnel scan I was doing underneath the school, and you can see it captured where I was, you know, not effectively hiding very well from there. But yeah, not a lot of room. It was a lot of crawling and moving away from the scanner and sitting down where I could. So here we got that. We'll hit join and optimize. Okay. Yeah, we'll go ahead and, for the purposes, we can probably get it closer, but notice how that the link, it's not very confident in that and change colors. Okay, so I would probably break that and redo that but for this webinar, I'll just go and kind of move on. So we see that this is all one big bundle now, okay? And let's go ahead, and I have another tunnel section over here that I want to bring into this major bundle, okay? So let's go ahead and bring that in. Actually, I think we'll, yeah, what we'll do here is we'll connect this first before we bring that in. So if we take a look, Cloud Viewer, kind of get our orientation. So there's a tunnel over here, okay, and a big mechanical room, boiler room. This was out in Minnesota. Okay, so I'm going to connect that because I have that one selected, and I'm going to go and grab this guy too. I'm going to go and say visual alignment, go and get that over here. Let's go and rotate that around. Again, kind of a different little thing to think about. We could do the photo registration very similar to how Recap was doing it, where we select those 3 points. Or this is basically a cloud to cloud, so I can visually line this up. And I, you know, like everyone has their preference. I like this one because I can see the overlaps and things like that. I can see if somebody walked in front of the scanner, you know, those kinds of things. And then again, I'll switch to the side view, and let's go and bring that down. And all we have to do is get close and let the computer do the rest. So we'll hit join and optimize. Here we go. It's saying, okay, I like this. You know, you got 64% overlap, and it gives us our mean error as well. So link added successfully, added to that bundle. There we go. Okay, so this is starting to come together now. We got that one piece of the tunnel connected with the other one with the not so great link, but we can always fix that later. But and then I have another tunnel section here in another site map. So when you download your point cloud scans, or if you do separate projects and things like that, they'll come together in these separate site maps. You can always create a new site map, and then you can drag bundles into there, okay? So you see I just removed it from this tunnel and into sitemap 3. I'm gonna move this bundle into sitemap 5, okay? So now nothing's in sitemap 3. I'll go and get rid of that because I'm looking to try to combine all this together. Then I'll delete this sitemap as well. Okay, so now I have all my bundles here, and then let's go and get these connected. Okay, so let's figure out where I'm at here. Let's go and take a look at this. Okay, so this is at the opposite end, and here is in that boiler room. Okay, so we got a nice red object here, and then we could see a little chair, and then that going into there. So I feel like I know where this is at. This could be down here. So we can kind of see the back end of this red thing, but if I switch over to this one instead, there's that little red thing. So let's go and use this scan to tie it into the other. So we got that and this. So we'll go and do the same thing, visual alignment, and then bring those over each other. So let's go and rotate that around. Okay, let's do another quick rotation. And again, get it close, and then you can have, I could have the computer try right now. It might reject it, it might approve it, but I always like to, the side view, because I kept changing elevations here, so that makes sense. I was doing that. So let's line up. I'm looking at this corner. We'll go and get it as close as we can, and then grab that and rotate just ever so slightly. Okay, That looks like it might do it. So we'll hit join and optimize and see if the computer agrees. It does, almost 64%. Okay. It's saying that I think I found another one. I don't know. I don't trust computers. Maybe I watched Terminator at too young of an age. So I'm saying no. But if you trust them, you can hit yes and see kind of what pops together. Okay. And looks like we have this other bundle that we need to get together. So over here, it was, I believe it was this guy. No, it was a little further. It was over here. Nope. Let me reorient myself. All right, here we go. I believe this is it. Oh, I'm silly. I should have looked for the other tunnel over here. So here's where I was supposed to be going. Okay. Yep, so here's part of that tunnel. Let's go ahead and connect that scan with this one over here. Okay. Rotate around. There we go. And let's check out the side view. Let's go and make a quick adjustment. Okay, that looks good to me. Let's go and hit join. 82%, wonderful. Okay, so now we've bundled everything together. We have one complete bundle. I can go ahead and look at this in its totality. So we have a full tunnel system from basically connecting one mechanical area to the boiler room via access tunnel, and basically be able to go through and continuing to register our whole project together. Okay, and there's a handful of tools to be able to clean up in here as well, and different view states, things like that. So let's just kind of go through one or two of those real quick. So over here, I can grab either a rectangular, square, circle, or polygon. Let's just go ahead and do the poly for now. So say this was all just excess noise, or I have better scan locations. Okay, and then we'll see it highlighted very oops, I guess I'm starting it again. That's all right. Okay, so we can see this is highlighted similar to it was in recap. So we can say delete inside or delete outside. We'll go and say delete inside. And here's how we can start cleaning up the points here as well within the software. Also, if once you get this registered, another thing we could do is finalize, verify our points. Again, we would, in an ideal situation, go back and fix this, but I'm just going to accept it for now. And then now we're ready to report. So we got this whole reporting tool. And then here on the publish options, what I can do, Like has added this recently. This has been a request, and it's awesome that they've added this. So we can add RCP cloud there. I can just go and save it somewhere. Okay, tunnel network, save, and then I can do the individual setups as well. So if you're very comfortable with Recap Pro, we can immediately, I like to do the registration here in Register 360, then bring it into Recap Pro, and then bring it into something like Revit, and I can hit publish, and we could let this spin. And depending on number of scans and how big the point cloud is, it would take a while, but looks like we got 93 scans in this. So I'm actually not going to run that while we're doing it, but again, it'll go right into RCP, and we'll go ahead and take a look at something, something along those lines. Here's where we're gonna get into, okay, so now I have my point cloud registered. Okay, now here's some tips on making it a little more user-friendly for our modeling team, our architecture friends, our engineering friends, all that kind of stuff. Because if I just sent them this madness, you know, that's gonna be really hard to model. And the size of something like this, this particular one is about 40 gigs worth of data. So imagine bringing that into your Civil 3D, things like that, with no cleanup. So we do offer training on any of this stuff, so feel free. But I'll just kind of go through this just a little bit. So I've basically organized all my scans into different groups. Okay, and that's pretty simple to do. We'll go and switch projects real quick to kind of showcase that. Okay, so over here I just pull up my stack, and if you want to create a group, it's simply just drag and drop. Oh, of course, recap crashes again. All right, momentarily. Let's just look at that, but it's just a drag and drop. I wonder why it keeps crashing. Maybe I need to do an update on it or something. All right, so now here in the stack, we have all those photos organized into folders, but now I can turn things off. So I flew this with the drone as well as the LiDAR scan, so I can turn off the drone scan. I can turn off the second floor, and you see I got second floor west and east and the center. So you see parts starting to go away. We'll get rid of the first floor as well. Okay. And then also the garage, and then the guest house above the garage. Okay. So we can organize those things here to be able to view and cut this into simple sections. Okay. And I can turn those on and back on. What's great about organizing it like this is it's going to help us in Revit. Should have had it launched ahead of time, but that's all right. Any questions at the moment while this is launching? Okay. All right, we'll go and move on. All right, so I kind of pre-baked this just a little bit. So I brought this point cloud in to Revit. So again, like I was talking about, you know, where do you begin with something like this all blobbed together? But if we organize it and spend some time getting that together through visibility graphics here, I have that same stack of information. So now if I wanted to get rid of the exterior ground and the drone, I can hit OK here, and then that's going to start cleaning it up. And notice it drags a little bit. So if I turn off even more, you know, the whole second floor, let's just say the first floor and all that. So now I'm kind of zipping in and out of the point cloud, okay, to be able to do that. And this is all view dependent. So if we go to first floor view, we see that on here, but through visibility graphics, I can turn on and off what I want to see. So maybe I'm not focusing on the garage right now or the lower level. I just want to focus on the first floor. So I'm going to make sure that none of those point clouds show up here. And then I can go through here in my point cloud tools, or like a wall command, and be able to start drawing my wall across. Okay. I obviously don't have this yeah, I have it on wall center line right now, but you see it snaps right to the point cloud, which is fantastic. Okay, so very easy to model off of this. And again, by getting it organized right, we can see the same thing like on the east view here. We can do the same thing again. If we want to turn off the garage, okay, we got that changed. Or if we weren't working on the lower level right now, we can turn that off as well. Okay, so a lot of cool things to be done in there. Again, you know, some organization, and like I mentioned, there's a lot of similarities to be able to register. as well as the kind of video we looked at there. So some of the benefits of having Field 360, the mobile app on our iPad while we're scanning, is to be able to view it all in 3D. Whereas that was a function we weren't quite getting in there. Hey, David. Yeah, can you organize the data in Register 362? Yeah, you see I have it organized like this as well in the different bundles. So I could kind of separate some of those out. Or like I was kind of showcasing earlier, I can get to the point where I've registered everything together. And, if I'm more comfortable with this workflow, I can just bring that into Recap and then do my organization in there. Because ultimately, like when you bring in point clouds into, we'll go to a 3D view, but ultimately when you do an insert, let's move that out of the way. When you insert a point cloud, we only have, into Revit, we can only bring in RCPs or RCSs. So to me, organizing it in here would be great, but this is not an RCP format. This is not an RCS format. This is a Leica base format. So the fact that we can get it all registered here and then convert that into an RCP here is fantastic. Sure. Setups. Thanks again for attending, and hope everyone has a good day.